What is up, you guys? It's your girl, the real Mrs. J. And y'all didn't think I was just gonna leave y'all hanging, did I? Did y'all think I was gonna leave y'all hanging from last night? Nah, I won't. The reason why I did it that way, y'all, and this is part two of I was low key in a cult. Um, and the reason why I did it that way is because when you upload videos, you can't go over 15 minutes. So that's why I had to just pause it right there. Um, but anyway, you guys, and I had my little cookies, so I know I was talking a little slow, but the cookie ain't kicked in yet, y'all. So, and I'm sitting outside on my porch, so if you guys hear cars and whatever going by, just ignore that as well. So, where did I leave off? So I left off saying that I was monitoring the computer. I was monitoring to see what the outcome was going to be, um, as far as, because the building that we were in at the time was facing eviction. The congregation was facing eviction again. Okay. So if y'all want to know, where I am or whatever, you have to look at part one. I don't want to really don't want to do a recap because it's too long. But, um, yeah, so okay, so I monitored. So what I said, this was like October, September, and so um I was monitoring the whole time to see what would happen, right? So they finally paid, and so then the next thing you know, then they were back in eviction again. So the whole time, y'all, I'm watching this. But at the same time that I'm watching, I'm kind of peeping what's going on around me at the same time. So, I did say that I scaled back from going, but I didn't completely stop going. I was still going because I felt that that is what the Lord required of me. This is just my train of thought that I'm telling y'all. So, I just kept going or whatever. And so I was still just monitoring what was going on around me. So we had this whole thing where they was talking about how the bills got to get paid, yada 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 yada. So, but they never said anything about the eviction or none of that stuff. So, um, we ended up. They had this thing where, you could do like a pledge to give this certain amount, to help go towards. But I'm not even gonna say this is how they put it. They didn't say it was going towards the bills or the rent. They were saying that the people were requiring a certain amount of money from us to buy the building. Okay, cause I'm gonna keep this 100 bands. Okay, so they said that they needed this money to go towards buying the building. Okay, and I already knew what time it was. Okay, so one of the brothers, he like went around and people was pledging like, I'll give this amount this month and I'll give that amount this month. So I know that me personally, I gave $200 and my husband gave $200, and so that's $400 out of our household. So there was a bunch of other people who, they were giving money too. They pledged to give a certain amount of money. So all this money was raised, and it was still an eviction. So I'm just like, okay, all right. So, and I'm just like looking around, and everybody's just going on with their life, just, trusting wholeheartedly in these people. And so, I was thinking, because I knew what the situation was, that money was going to go towards, paying for the back bills. You know what I'm saying? But evidently not. So, after that, everybody was just going on with their day. So, all right. So then the building goes into eviction again. This time, um, they actually gave them 10 days to be out of the building. All right. And so now around this time, this is January. Okay. And so this is January of 2020. So, I go in there, and this is the last time I was in that building. This is the absolute last time. So that was January. So that last day, I saw one of the brothers, and he and I were really close, because I called him like my nephew, you know what I'm saying? We go on vacations or whatever. He would come stay at our, he would house sit to take care of our animals and stuff. So I wanted to really talk to him and tell him like the truth of the matter and what was really going on. Because I saw him like kind of looking like distraught one day when I pulled up. I was like, what's going on? Why you looking like that? And so he was like, because we might have to leave this building. So I was like, well, I knew about that, but I don't think that he knew what I was talking about even in that moment, because when I kind of broke it down to him, he was like looking shocked, like he couldn't believe it. So he was played it off like he knew, but I could tell that he didn't know. So then we went inside, we had our little service, if that's what you want to call it. We called it class because it was like a classroom setting where we studied the Bible. And so after class was over with, they had this talk with the whole congregation, talking about how people ain't stepping up to the plate to do this and do that, and how they was gonna shut the building down, and only certain people was gonna be able to come back, and the manipulative tactics that was being used, y'all, was unreal. Okay, it was like, and we might open the building, we might buy a building and don't tell nobody until a year later. They were saying little stuff like that because don't nobody want to help and nobody's putting in any money and this and that after we just had a fundraiser and all this other stuff. But, and I'm just looking like, why are you doing, I'm saying to myself, like, I'm like, look at these niggers. Okay, because this was some niggardly crap right here. Why are you trying to manipulate people like they're not paying the bills or they're not giving or whatever when you know that you are not doing what you're supposed to do with this damn money? That's number one, okay? And so after that whole conversation, that was the last time I stepped foot in that building. Like, that was the absolute last time that I stepped my foot in that building, okay? That was January of 2020. So they started doing classes or whatever, and they always did their classes on Facebook Live or whatever. So I would just look from there, and then eventually I had lost so much respect for them that when you lose respect for a person, you can't receive what they trying to teach you, you know what I'm saying? And so that's where I was. I couldn't receive it. I didn't even want to listen to it any longer. So I had just it had just was bothering me so bad, y'all, because at this whole time I'm holding on to all this information, except I told my nephew, but he didn't say anything. But other than that, I just kept it to myself, and I'm just like, Lord, have your way. But I was just afraid to say anything. So anyway, you guys, so then COVID hit. So when COVID hit, y'all know that they had that rule where I know in Virginia they had the rule where a certain amount of people couldn't gather. Like, people couldn't gather. That's when they were shutting the churches down and all of that. So that pretty much saved them, okay, from people actually finding out what the deal was. And so nobody could go back to the building for a little while. So then when they could go back to the building, there was a padlock on the door. But they tried to say it like, they tried to downplay it. Because at this point, I got friends and stuff calling me, and they just giving me the 411 of what's going on. But I couldn't tell them what I knew. But they was just coming back telling me stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so they were saying how it was a padlock on the door. They had to go through the side door and all this and that. But the people actually put a lock on the door. You know how when you don't pay your rent and, they take possession of your apartment or whatever, they put this lock on your door. So I'm assuming that was the type of lock that was on the door. So they was going through on the sides or whatever. So then one of my friends, it was like, time had went past and past and past, and I think that it was like around. Did they still have the building then? I think they had finally left the building, or they said they made up some excuse as to why they didn't want to be in the building no more. But I knew that they had got evicted, and that's why they couldn't be in the building. So after that, it came the time for they had a feast. So mind you, y'all, I'm done. I haven't been back. I haven't been a part of anything. People was asking about me. I told my friend, like, look, I'm not coming back. You know what I'm saying? And she said that every time she went around, if they would have a meeting or a gathering or something, they would do stuff together. They would ask about me, but she would just be like, look, then why don't you call her? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, y'all. So finally, make a long story short, they had a feast where it's called the first fruits. No, it's called the Feast of Booths, and that is they call it tabernacles in the Bible. And so everybody, they had found this campground, and so basically what we would be doing is camping outside. And usually it's like 3 days we'll camp out, or we'll get those like mini houses or whatever. So they had went to some campgrounds or whatever, and so everybody was paying like $300, and for a family, and all these people paid all this money for this campground. So afterwards, they had after they had everything, and my friends, they coming back telling me all this gossip of what was going on, who was doing what, kids sneaking out with other kids, little boys and girls, this and that and the third. So then my friend called me like after it was over, probably the next week, and was saying that the campground people was calling around to the members, asking them, saying that the congregation owed the people $7,000. So now everybody's like, hold on, where is the money at? Like, where's all this money that we gave and we paid for? You know what I'm saying? Where is this money going? So y'all, I was like, man, I'm telling you, this is why I'm not a part of it. I'm not dealing with them folks like that. So I get a phone call, y'all, and it's one of my friends, and she was like, you know what? I was just curious, and I went on the website and I did a background check and yada yada yada, and I found this, and these people, they ain't been paying the bills and da 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 da. And mind you, I already knew, but I never said anything, right? So she found out. So then she called somebody. So next thing you know, everybody is looking these people up. Everybody knows the deal about these evictions and all this stuff that I had been knowing already for a minute. And so people was wanting explanation, people was leaving, you know what I'm saying? And they ended up having a big split. Some people stayed like dummies and some people didn't. So y'all, so that was 2020 going into 2021. So during this time, was that 2021? Yeah, it was 2021. So during this time, they were, because it was about to be tabernacles again. So they went to one of the state parks out here to look at some cabins or whatever to see how that would be. And so when they went to look at them, the leader, the elder, and his dad, and a few people all caught COVID. And this was during the time of the Delta variant. And so, needless to say, they died. They died, y'all. COVID killed the leader and his father. They died. And after they died, y'all, so many people just was like, they was just completely done. They left. People had already left already, but once they died, it was like that's when people really started to leave. I don't know if they felt like they was free or what, But those folks actually passed away, y'all. I was sad because, I really care about these people, but they died. But anyway, you guys, I think I've already went over the 15 minutes, and I'll come back and tell y'all some more stories because it's wild as a it's wild. But I love you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, The Real Mrs. J, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.